Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is the November 12th, 2014 public meeting of the Lowell Conservation Commission. Tonight's agenda and its first item is, and I'm going to take all three three first items on the agenda together. This first item, and I'm going to call all three together, is a request for certificate of compliance, Swan Street Development Company, LLC, concerning DEP file number 2060716. Project location is 160.1 Swan Street, and that's the roadway. Item number 2 is a request for certificate of compliance, Swan Street Development Company, LLC, concerning DEP file number 2060717. The project location is also 160.1 Swan Street, and that's Lot 6. And the third item on tonight's agenda is a request for certificate of compliance, Swan Street Development Company, LLC, concerning DEP file number 2060718, and that's also at 160.1 Swan Street, and that is Lot 5. Attorney Plunkett, if you could identify yourself for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission. For the record, David Plunkett, 151 Warren Street in Lowell, representing Swan Street Development Company, LLC, the applicant for the request for the certificates of compliance. Mr. Chairman, I did have a phone conversation with Ms. Joseph, the assistant planner, yesterday. Unfortunately, scheduling-wise, we thought we were going to meet some of you out there at 10 o'clock, and it turned out it was supposed to be 9 o'clock, so I apologize for that. But I know that part of the discussion was, the question we had forwarded copies of the Homeowners Association, the deed for Lot 6, which has sold and been recorded, and the plan of land. And I have additional copies if you would request that. I don't know if you've received copies from the resultant from the email. What we've also done is that we have for submittal to you tonight is the prototype of the deed for Lot 5, which will follow the same format as the deeds of record, specifically Lot 6, referring to the order of conditions specific to the roadway, and this one also making reference to the order of conditions specific to Lot 5, with the language that was agreed upon when we came before the commission for the orders of condition, specifying that certain of the conditions will remain, effective against the lots after conveyance. Also, with this prototype for the Lot 5 is, again, language that was agreed upon and will be included in the deed when transferred, making specific reference to the drainage easement and the purpose of the drainage easement for repair and replacing, maintaining the drainage system and stormwater infiltration system. And the reservation includes rights of any responsible party to enter the easement by foot of such vehicular access as necessary. The easement reserved for the purpose of the grantor or grantor's successors and assigns. So if I may, Mr. Chairman, I'll just submit these deeds, this prototype deed to you for review relative to Lot 5, which again has not been sold, so there's no transfer, no deed of record until such time as it is to be sold.
Is it, Attorney Plunkett, is it essentially the same as the Lot 6 deed?
It's the same as Lot 6, except the other order of conditions, it makes reference to the book and page of the order of conditions specific to Lot 5
specific
rather
for
than
that
Lot
one,
6.
correct.
And it makes reference, and it has language specific to the reservation of an easement on Lot 5, as shown on the plan, and then detail the language in terms of the purpose of the easement for the maintenance and upkeep of the drainage system as per the terms of the homeowners association that has been recorded, in which a copy was submitted to you. So, Mr. Chairman, I don't know if you want me to bring it up
Certainly.
to you, or? Also, just to address the issue, I know that there was a question in terms of the as-built plan as submitted, that there were some questions relative specifically to Lot 5 in regards to detail of the grades on the detention area and, dimensions of the deck off the back of the house and setbacks and things of that sort. So Mr. Aho has been contacted. He has gone back out to the site, and he is revisiting the plan for submittal to you to include those details as requested.
Yeah, the Lot 5 and Lot 6 should show the full foundation, as I'm sure was discussed. Lot 5 should show the infiltrator system and, the detention system that's out there, obviously, and the easement. You've already indicated the easement line, but there should be a notation on the plan about it, so. And then obviously, and I had discussed with you before the meeting, so you're aware that his plan hasn't been stamped yet, so. And he needs to furnish a stamped plan.
Okay.
And an engineer's certification that it's in substantial compliance. Each one is in substantial compliance with the 3 orders of condition.
Okay. I thought that there was, but we'll double check and we'll get whatever is necessary, yeah.
All right, I don't have any further questions, Commissioner Barnum.
Several of us were out at the site. I'm sorry we missed you. But one thing we did discuss was the deck is not shown here either.
Right.
And I'm not sure how putting the deck in the easement jives with what's in the homeowner's document, but it is almost entirely in the easement area. That's Lot 5.
Yeah, I mean, that's an easy one to answer. It's okay for it to be there. However, the homeowner, as, Attorney Plunkett will, I'm sure, apprise any prospective buyer that it could have to be removed if that space is needed for the easement to be, for vehicles to go in there, in order to maintain the infiltrator system, so.
Yeah, and I think we just wanted more detail on the drainage to show on the as-built plan. We don't have any of the catch basins, or maybe the catch basins are there, but we were wondering exactly where this system is, and also the outfall from it appears to have a lot of sediment, and I'm not sure whether that's a malfunction or whether it was designed that way to catch sediment. It doesn't look exactly like most drainage systems that I'm used to looking at. The signage on the wetland is...
Yes, on that point, I know that we were made aware of it through the comment letter, and he has ordered the signage, and he expects it's apparently signage that wasn't available, readily available, so it has been ordered, but I think it will be a quick turnaround in terms of, I believe he expects it within the coming week, and that it will go out and post the signage exactly as required.
The proposed plan and the as-built plan that we were sent with these documents don't have any topography on them, particularly to know at what level the drainage feature is installed at. And I remember discussing the amount of fill that would be required, and it seemed to me that there was a lot more fill out there than we had discussed. And I'm not sure if they ran into some kind of a problem with when they were installing that, or I'd just like to see the elevations.
Sure.
And I guess that's all I have at the moment.
Commissioner Lovely? Commissioner Lynch?
No question.
Commissioner Beardron?
There were the drainage, there's like a small detention drainage swale, and there were 2 4-inch PVC pipes that went from that. One of them looked like it came from a catch basin, but I wasn't sure. If it was from a catch basin, that it would probably should be a bigger size pipe than a 4-inch. So that was just one question we kind of had. If you draw on the infiltration system on there, they might be pipes from that, and that might solve that. And then also, when you do get the topography, I think a larger amount of fill was brought in, so I would just recommend having like an explanation on why there was more fill needed.
Okay.
And that's it.
So at the end, I may note, one of the emails from Joe had indicated that the city had sent out their comments, but I didn't get them. They weren't an attachment on the email, so, not that that's an issue, but is there anything on the city side that's, other than that's been discussed?
No, that was actually for the Phoenix app. This one,
Okay.
nothing additional.
All right, I'm, Attorney Plunkett, I'm just going to open this up if there's anyone who wants to comment on this. Otherwise, most likely this will be continued until these issues are addressed. And then just to let you know, Commissioner Varnum brings up a good point, and I recall specifically that when the engineers were before us on this, the infiltrator system had to be put at a certain elevation, groundwater, and they were trying to establish that bank. So that not only do we need to see the topography, of the bank that they made on that back. Well, it's the bottom left corner. I'm not finding a magnetic line here. It's probably the northwest corner, the southwest corner. But we also need to know the elevation of the infiltrator system too. Okay, because that was one of the reasons why the meeting was originally continued on the permitting process, as I recall, because we wanted to know, they had to do some test pits to find out what the groundwater elevation was out there. Okay. I'm going to open this up. Is there anyone who wants to offer their comments about the work that's been completed to date at Swan Street? Okay. Hearing none. All right, do I have a motion to...
I'll make a motion to continue this.
By Commissioner Beardron, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Lynch. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, what would the date be? Just 2 weeks from today, or?
Yeah, that's, it will be 2 weeks from today. If you need more time, obviously,
So
get
if we
in
can
touch
get
with
everything
Swati.
submitted in time to get on the agenda for 2 weeks? Or December,
There's only one meeting in November.
Yeah,
because-
we don't have and I apologize. It's, our next meeting would be the day before Thanksgiving, and that's not on our official schedule, so
Okay.
we're not meeting. So our next meeting is the second Wednesday of December.
December 10th.
December 10th, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we should be able to get everything together
Yeah,
and submit it to
that
you
gives you
by that
3
time.
weeks, I
Sure.
believe, right, to make the submittals, so.
Okay, thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you. Next item on this evening's agenda is a notice of intent, City of Lowell, concerning, for DEP, file number 2060738, and the project location is 90 Felton Street, and it's a proposal to breach a beaver dam in the vicinity of 90 Felton Street on the Marshall Brook. If you could identify yourself for the record and
Yes,
let us know
Shannon
what you're
Cohen
doing.
with the City of Lowell.
The city has an outstanding permanent order to breach beaver dams that are causing problems. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. It probably predates your service here, so.
Well, I've been here at the city for 27 years, but
Well, I'm just saying, I'm with the animal control. But we issued, you have to help me, this might go back about, what, 10, 12 years? No, all right. Yeah,
I did a little bit of research to locate that, and what we were able to locate was, the last one was sometime in early 2000, and it was for three locations actually, along two different streams. So basically, I checked with DEP, and they basically said we have to file.
we have to issue another one?
Yes.
All right,
And I was hoping, at least with this one, if we develop a special condition that would say, at least in the catchment or the watershed of this spring, and DEP went on to say, like, that's not something they would entertain. So basically, that's why their comment is so specific that only for this particular dam.
that's unfortunate, considering that most of the breaching is done in a similar fashion. Are you going to be completely removing the dam, or is this are you going to be installing a beaver pipe?
no, it's out in the middle of the stream, so it'll be a complete removal.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Varnum?
I almost made it to the beaver dam, but I was driven back by thorns.
You probably made it further than I did.
The brook at this point has fairly steep banks just below the dam. And it appears to me that this is going to be a location where beavers are going to be attracted in the future. And I was wondering if one of the water regulator, water level control devices might be something that would keep that water at a certain level, whether or not you think you've removed these beavers, that if they come back, then you would at least know the water level was going to stay at a certain point. And there's various kinds I know that have been suggested for different areas. But it seems to me that this is a very temporary solution to that particular area. Because it's so narrow, it's an easy spot to, for the beavers to build in between those banks. I'm concerned about the time of year that this is being proposed. I did look up the trapping season has just begun. I don't know, you haven't said anything about the beavers. Are they still there?
They recently just trapped several 2 weeks ago, but I was informed by the neighbors today that there's more back.
But as far as, it just seemed to me that if the dam were removed completely, that the people downstream, where that's such a narrow, high-sided channel there, that the people downstream might have more of a problem if the water weren't controlled in some way.
It will be a controlled removal of the dam. It won't be all at once.
Yeah, I understand, I read that, but I'm thinking about the future, like there could be seasonal fluctuations of some sort.
I don't know the answer to that.
With my experience in beaver dams, a lot of times, people upstream are suffering more. They're losing their yards and whatnot, so, you gotta remember, one day this did flow without the dam, so it's ready, it's usually prepared to flow again. It's more so the upstream people than the downstream that you have to worry about.
I'd also just like to say that I didn't quite hear what you said, Swathy, but I would be opposed to like a general permit for the whole city. I think I think it's a case-by-case basis of what needs to be reviewed.
Is this a permit for the whole city?
I wish it
No,
was.
no,
Right,
it
right.
wasn't. And just to give a little bit of history on that, we had a stretch back in, around the turn of the millennium where the city was coming in like 2-3 times each meeting with beaver issues. And, we were spending hours sometimes, on beaver issues, and it was just getting ridiculous at times. So we had issued a standing order, but now from what I understand, that's not an acceptable practice, so. But this is the first, and again, I don't know if the city's been acting on that over the years, but this is the first one we've had in a very long time, so. All right, Commissioner,
I just got a
Lovey.
question, in light of what Commissioner Vonum was saying about, maybe the beavers recreating the dam after you breach it, and, thinking about maybe a beaver pipe. I'm just, Swati, a question for you. I'm wondering, can we keep this, assuming we permit it and issue an order of conditions, can we keep it open for a period of time in the event that, a year from now, we have another beaver dam, so that the city doesn't have to go through this process again?
Well, the order is valid for 3 years, so pretty much it can be enforced for those 3 years.
Okay.
But the order's for this location, correct? So
Yes.
that's not
Yes.
applicable.
Yeah,
But at
that's
least-
exclusively for this location.
But at least if they end up recreating the dam, we don't have to go through this process
No,
again for this
not,
location.
not for within the 3 years.
Right. So I guess we could take a wait-and-see approach, see how it works with breaching, and if that doesn't work, maybe think about the next time looking at a beaver pipe
Sure.
to regulate the water level. So, nothing further. Thank you.
Commissioner Lynch,
No, I don't have anything.
Commissioner Biedron, anything else?
What's flowing, it goes dam, and then where does it go?
Under the culvert down at the end of Circuit Ave.
Okay, how big is the culvert?
That is probably 48, or maybe
Okay.
bigger. 6 by 6. Yeah, 6 by 6,
6.
large box culvert.
Okay. I had like a big beaver project once, and one thing we talked about, I guess beavers are attracted to the sound of water. So there's always talk of putting the culvert lower and under, like completely submerged so they can't hear that water. And that's why they don't build dams. But I think this is probably like way beyond that,
Yeah.
so, yeah. So yeah, I have no questions. I mean, it's a maintenance thing in my mind.
Sir, I'm going to open this up. Is there anyone here who'd like to offer their comments or concerns, either for or against this filing? Yes, sir. Just approach the podium and identify yourself. for
Yeah,
the
my
record,
name is Charles Tamionis. I live at 180 Circuit Avenue. And of all the people probably affected by this beaver dam right now, I'm probably the most affected. My concern is, and I have a little, something I put together, I wish I could give it to you people. It's just a map I put together to try and, so you people understand the intensity of this dam.
Thank you.
And the damage it's causing to the wildlife, the trees, and also to my life. What I outlined on a quick Google map is just, the blue is the natural swamp that has been there for the last 40 years that I've been there. All right, I've lived on Circuit Avenue for 40 years, and I know the water table, and I know how this brook runs and how it works. And if you see the pink outline, that is the new flood zone. And that is including all those trees that are now falling into the swamp because the water table is so high. In my backyard, I have a volleyball net that's 1 foot underwater. And I have a shed where the dam is actually, the brook is actually now, instead of coming through this dam and culvert, it's actually pouring into the sides. And it's tearing all the trees down. All the trees are falling down. Mr. Kuchu's yard was on Felton Street. I marked 90 Felton Street. All his trees are falling in. And that's not the ones that the beavers are eating. These are just the ones that are being uprooted by the by the land flow. And if you look on page 3, I'm showing you where that brook goes. If that dam, is estimated that there are several million gallons of water being held up by that dam. Because that dam goes all the way to 495, almost out to Market Basket on 38. And all that water is being held back. That dam, you used to be able to walk across it with boots. And now you need a canoe. It's 7 feet deep in some places, 5 feet deep is the average. If that dam ever breached on its own, it would not only flood Woburn Street, Acton Street, Billrica Avenue, it would take all those basements with it. Back in the 70s, before they put the 6 by 6 foot culvert in there, we had a bad 8-inch rainstorm, and all the cellars on Circuit Avenue and some on Felton Street and some further down the line on Acton Street were flooded out completely. The cellars were immense, I mean, just 6 feet of water. I built my house in '86 after they fixed that problem and dried that land up. In fact, I stood before you people, I had that land taken off the floodplain and put it into dry land so I could build my home. Now, I have a sump system in my basement which never ever turns on unless we have like a 5 or 6 inch rainstorm. I'm getting 1 to 2 to 3 inches of rain. The water table is so high, my pumps are kicking on all the time. If we have a really bad storm, I'm screwed. My pumps won't be able to keep up with it. And if that dam ever breaches, I'm really lost. I'm gone. And all my neighbors are too. And I think this is something that really needs to be addressed. I put in for my first, I applied to have that dam removed last, I believe, May. And they have trapped beavers. Now, they just collected, I think, 6 or 7 beavers the last trapping, and 2 days later, the dam was built back up again. I have very good information that there was 2 dams in Tewksbury, and one of them was on North Billrica Ave by Meadowlands Ice Cream, where they breached, totally removed, sorry about that, they totally removed the beaver dam without trapping the beavers first. And those beavers came down, will you stop it? They came downstream. And this swamp we have was so enticing to them is that they just stayed there. Once we trapped the other beavers that were building the dam and rebuilding the dam, and once we trapped them, these new folks came in and started doing it. Something has to be done, and it has to be done before the weather. Like I said, I've been there for almost 40 years. The water has never been this high. 30-inch, 40-year-old oak trees are just falling completely, all the vegetation. And you know when you've driven down a road and you go through a swamp and you have all these just tree stubs, no bark on them, nothing. That's what's happening. All this land, all these trees are just dying. And the water table is so high right now. I can't even go out to my shed. The water's running under my shed. It's forcing itself to build a new brook. The brook is finding a new way to go. And it's not funny. And my fear is, if it does breach, I mean, I don't think the Army Corps of Engineers has approved this dam.
All right,
But if it does breach, we're talking about 4 or 5 million gallons of water just taken off.
is the culvert clogged also?
The culvert has a
Is
grating
clear?
in front of it. So if that dam breaches, that dam is 200 feet away. If that dam breaches, it's gonna block that culvert immediately.
All right,
And there's no place for the water to go except overground.
all right,
I beg you guys to really do what you can do to help us. It's been months and months. We got to this point. And I don't want this to be the final stop. Something has to be done.
okay, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Is
Thank
there
you.
anyone else who would like to offer their comments or concerns?
I'd like to say a few words in regards to it. My name is Kuchu. I live at 90 Felton Street. I talked to her, I believe it was Monday. And I showed her basically where the dam was and told her she couldn't get to it to there because of the floodwaters and how to go around and get to it. And it wasn't, as you've seen, easy accessible from that point. I've been on Felton Street since 1970. I've been there over 46 years. When I first bought that house, there was a water problem back there in the springtime when you had a lot of water runoff from all the way upstream through Tewksbury and the different towns that water comes from. And the city finally put a culvert in, which is the culvert that's in there now. And there was a Hale Street, Howell Street project going on at the time, and they took all the fill from that, and they built it all in through that land back there and backwashed it into as a swamp to a certain point. And then they put the new culvert in and they built it up. And that brook's been in there for years. My kids used to fish in that brook. And the only time you got any water in that brook after that culvert was if you had a real heavy downpour. You had puddles here and there now and then. Approximately 20 years ago, a couple of beavers did move in. And the game wardens at that time came in and they trapped those beavers and they breached the dam. There hasn't been any water problems back there now in 20 years since these beavers have moved in. And since these beavers have moved in, I've lost almost a corner of my land where a good 40-foot oak tree uprooted from the roots and came down, and it took some of the corner of my land with it, and this water coming by and breaching up against my property, because it's a little downgrade there, has washed away quite a bit of that land, which you probably didn't see because you didn't walk back there. So I'd say I've got about a quarter of my land behind my house has got water as much as 2-3 feet there right now, and it tapers over to Chucky's property. And if the beaver are gone, 20 years, 45 years, it's just the second time beavers have come in there. And only because they were pushed out of Tewksbury, like he says, because somebody breached the dams and didn't trap the beaver first. So they just moved down street to a better house.
Those darn Tewksbury beavers, so.
Well, I don't know, but everybody keeps dumping it to everybody else. It's a problem. I talked to every neighbor around there, and I explained to them what happened to this property years ago. And they just looked at me, went like this. I figured a lot of them would be here. Because I've seen, like Chucky, I've seen water flowing down Circuit Avenue. I've seen 3 houses surrounded by water going across the street and dumping into the brook on the other side. I've never heard of a problem with water backing up on the other side of that culvert. And there's another brook that runs in, comes down from Shed Park somewhere across Lawrence Street that also dumps into that. So there's plenty of room in that culvert to take that water that brings it right out to the Concord River. So my question is, or my thing is that I don't see how taking that beaver dam out of there is going to affect anything other than put the water table back where it belongs and we'll be back to normal again. And hopefully the beavers, don't get forced down there for another party 20 years from now, which I probably won't be around to see anyways.
All right. Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to offer their comments or concerns regarding this request for order of conditions? All right, hearing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
By Commissioner Beardron, seconded by Commissioner Lynch. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Do I have a
I'll
motion
offer,
to issue a standard order?
I'll offer a motion to issue a standard City of Lowell order of conditions for this project.
By Commissioner Lovely, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Lynch. Any discussion? All in favor signify. Yep, discussion?
We have some suggestions here from the planning department that perhaps we could add to the order, that Division of Fisheries and Wildlife approve the order of conditions, and that the dam be breached at a time that's within the regulations of fishery and wildlife.
What is the time? I know you can't do it during their adolescent phase, but I think this is an acceptable time.
To be honest with you, I'm not sure. I work for the wastewater department.
Yeah, and Commissioner Varney, just a question, are you referring to the Massachusetts Fisheries and Wildlife, or are you referring to the animal control officers from the city of Lowell? Because, I mean, that could be a substantial hurdle. is Fisheries and Wildlife already aware of this? Are they going to be sending an animal control officer to do the,
Well, we actually have to inform every application has to be informed for making sure that it's not affecting any of the habitats. So it's the same department. So have you had any communication from them?
No.
So what, that it's an endangered species area?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you can, look online, and if it's not recorded as such, then it should be okay. But
Yeah.
I would definitely check
But-
with the state.
yeah, Fisheries and Wildlife needs to be notified for the trapping, but I'm not, if there's live beavers, active beavers on the dam site and on the ponding site.
I referred to their website, and basically the breaching of the dam is recommended before start of winter.
Right, right.
So-
Yeah, well, I was always under the impression that it was like late summer to fall.
Yeah,
to
late
just
fall.
before the start of winter where
Yeah.
you could do it. Spring was out of the question, that
Yeah.
you're not even
This is the
supposed to be.
perfect time.
Yeah,
So,
well,
yeah.
exactly.
So if the project has any trapping involved or proposed, then
that's Fisheries and Wildlife, yeah.
then we contact Fisheries and Wildlife. If it's just breaching of dam, as long as it's done before start of winter, so
Right.
that's like late December,
Well,
we don't need anything from
Well,
them.
yeah, I guess, and I don't know, and this is here for discussion, but I don't want to condition this upon approval from Fisheries and Wildlife if we don't need to get it. I mean, that could set everything back, who knows how
Yeah,
long.
that's exclusively for trapping the beavers.
Agree, yeah. They,
Okay, I'll withdraw that suggestion.
who traps the beavers in Lowell? Do we have an animal?
We hire somebody, a licensed beaver trapper.
We don't have like a certified person?
No.
But we used to, Ed Patnod, I think,
Yeah, he's
used
in
to do
charge
it.
of DPW now.
Okay, all right.
Doesn't get his hands dirty anymore.
Shannon, when do you guys plan on starting this? Like
As
ASAP?
soon as possible.
Okay.
I know we have it, if it is approved, we have a 10-day appeal process, and we'd like to start it right after that.
Okay. I just have a question. The no beaver zone in Lowell, so we're not a no beaver zone yet, but we want to be? Is that what I was reading in here? That we
That's
want to
what-
be a no beaver zone?
Sure.
Okay. And then when we are a no beaver zone, that means we can trap and get rid of dams freely? That's what
Well,
it said?
I don't know, I'm not familiar with that aspect of it, but I would
Okay.
imagine that would involve city council action, though.
Got it.
All right, any other discussion? All right, then, okay. Any further discussion? No. All in favor of the motion as seconded signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. All right,
Thank you.
thanks. Just to put that in plain English, the city has permission to remove the beaver dam. Okay,
For the next 3 years, yeah.
Appreciate your help, thank you.
all right. Fifth item on tonight's agenda is a request for determination of applicability.
I'm sorry, I thought you were finished. My name is Sister Cynthia Bowe, and I live right on the edge of what's happening. This is just a possible solution. I called Mass Wildlife, and they said one solution for residents and beavers could be to cut a notch in the dam, just a notch in the dam, and then where the notch is to install a flow pipe so that the water can continue to flow. And even if the beavers build over that pipe, it doesn't stop the water. The water continues to flow.
Yeah, that's what we were discussing here tonight.
So you were talking about the flow pipe, the beaver deceiver, they called it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's called a beaver pipe. It's, to put it in plain English, if my screen is the dam and this is the ponding side, okay, they put the pipe this way. So the inlet is always underwater, and basically the pipe floods uphill. It doesn't, it just seeks its level, and it empties out on the other side, and they can't plug that. So, and because the inlet is underwater, there's no sound to it, so they don't plug that.
It's that sound that
Right.
attracts them. Yeah.
So, I mean, at its very simplest level, that's what it is. There's other devices that they use, but that's what they were referring
Is
to.
that what you're?
No, that's not what they're doing. They're going to completely remove the dam.
Why wouldn't they try that first?
All right, to answer your question procedurally, this hearing's closed. That should have been brought up in the public hearing portion of it.
Okay, that's all
Just,
right. I don't mind.
yeah, I mean, just simply, sometimes it's best just to remove the dam. Okay. It be,
Beavers.
yeah, well, it's up to the city.
And
It's up to the city as to,
Or,
yeah, it's up to the city as to how they want to handle that. And putting in a beaver pipe isn't always the most cost-effective method of beaver control either, so.
I figured money would.
Sometimes eradication is the best. You can't relocate the beavers. They have to be trapped and killed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, be that as it may, there's really no purpose for the dam to remain there if there's no longer a active colony there, so.
So the beavers lose. The beavers lose, right?
Well,
I mean, and.
you know, when I'm gonna put when I put a population of beavers that survive just about anywhere, up against people losing their homes, their basements, in their yards, the beavers are gonna lose 99 times out of 100, so.
No. I
Okay.
was just wondering if there could be a solution short of just getting.
Well, there are solutions, but that wasn't part of this process, and the city chose not to explore that option, so.
Because of money.
Huh? I don't know. You'd have to take that up with the city.
Now, city council is going to take this?
No,
up?
the DPW.
DPW.
City council will not act on this.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
I'll recall the fifth item on tonight's agenda, request for determination of applicability. Russ Williams, project location is 55 Phoenix Avenue, and it's to construct a warehouse on a slab of existing structure, on an existing structure at 55 Phoenix Avenue.
Evening, Mr. Chairman, Board. David Beatty with Greater Lowell Engineering, representing Russ Williams tonight. Yeah, there's an existing slab. We're all pretty familiar with the property over at 55 Phoenix. Apparently, there was a structure of some sort several years ago that caved in under too heavy a snow load, and the concrete slab still remains there, and they're proposing to build a warehouse to essentially transfer roofing shingles from various local locations to a recycling center. The structure would remain within the perimeter of the existing impervious surface, and it would be actually a reduction of the previous warehouse, so we're told.
Mr. Beatty, what, if anything, needs to be done to the existing slab in order to do this construction?
I'm not entirely certain at this particular time. We're still awaiting some design, a set of design plans from an additional subcontractor, a design firm.
Okay, because it just seems to me that it's perhaps a little bit premature to be asking for an RDA when we don't even know how extensive, you know, generally, I mean, I'm going to look at this as a redevelopment, because that's what it is. And you have a right to rebuild. I mean, was the right abandoned at any point in time? You know, who knows? I'm not going to, at least for me, that I don't view it that way. But I guess what I'm curious about is the structures that are out there, for the most part, are metal, you know, prefab type. structures. And
This structure would fall along the lines of a prefab metal structure.
yeah, but the slab has been unprotected now for quite a while, and is the integrity of it still sufficient to support the use that your client wants to use it for? The other issue I have with this is, and it became a permanent condition as part of the other activities on the site, where we limited the vehicle repair, the truck repair work, because we saw ongoing violations on the site, to within the footprint of the building. And, you know, I mean, I'm thinking here, you got basically an asphalt redistribution site. And I can envision trucks pulling up and dumping outside the building, because no one's available to help, no one's available to offload or whatnot, and it's being dumped, it's being dumped in the buffer zone. I mean, that's a foreseeable thing here. And to me, I want to prevent that, one, and two, I want to put a condition that's not an acceptable activity on this site at any time.
If I may, the structure is being designed such that the trucks will be dumping on the slab and inside the confines of this structure, under the roof, if you will, under roof.
Yeah, so, I mean, it may be a -3 determination, but I don't think we have enough information yet. At least I don't have enough information yet.
Okay.
Okay, and I don't want to say, we don't have enough, let's issue a positive determination, then you got to file, because that's probably not what you're looking for. All I'm saying is, I just don't have enough yet to be comfortable issuing a -3 here yet either.
Okay.
It could just be me, but I'm going to open it up. Commissioner Varnum, you just passed the bar.
Just I have concerns that the chairman expressed too about the messiness of the proposed activity. And I was just a little bit discouraged that the buffer along the wetland there is still awaiting a cleanup under the other order of conditions that we issued for this property. And I was hoping that would have been done when I went out to look at this new proposal. I think we'd probably like to see the design of the building, just so there was some way to ensure that this all remained inside.
Okay. Yeah, the design plans are forthcoming as far as the structure goes.
Commissioner Lovely?
Just to add to that, I would suggest, maybe to the extent that you could on the plans, and add in a note, nothing outside, no sort of storage on the outside of the footprint of the building within the floodplain. I think it would make it that much easier for us to issue a negative determination.
Okay.
Commissioner Lynch?
I agree. I think designs would be very helpful, because right now in my mind, all I'm thinking of is, walls with an opening that trucks drive into and just dump loads of asphalt shingles. So just to get a better idea of what exactly will be going on would be helpful.
And just a note, this is being proposed for a lot of the local roofers who have, very small dumps that they need to truck to, say, Hudson or, other places beyond. So this is sort of to assist some of the local roofers in the area.
Yeah, I mean, preferably that it be handled, with a procedure and legally, than see it dumped on the side of the road that you often see too. But still, I'm still begging for some more details here. Commissioner Biedron? Okay. And you're aware of the city's comments, although they were basic. So when do you think you'd be able to have some of this information for us?
I will certainly check into that
All right.
and deliver that.
Why don't we, at your request, continue this to the first December meeting? And if that's not, if you feel you have more time, just contact the office and it'll be removed from the agenda and put on
Okay.
for a subsequent date. So do I have a motion to continue this to
I'll
the
make a motion to
December 10th?
continue. Oh, sorry, I'll make a motion to continue.
All right. Seconded by Commissioner Varnum. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. And lastly, last item on tonight's agenda is an enforcement order. Michelle Rivera, 54 Shirley Avenue. The violation location is 54 Shirley Avenue, and it's destruction of plant life on bordering land subject to flooding. Tree clearing remnants were observed during a site inspection conducted on October 31st, 2014. Swati, if you could bring us up to speed on this.
So we were informed about this from one of the neighbors who observed landscape truck company taking down the tree elements. And upon site visit, the enforcement agent was able to stop. However, one tree was pretty much done, and another tree has been extensively pruned to the extent chances of it reviving are slim. We got in touch with the owner who was there at that time. She had recently purchased the property and was aware that it's on a floodplain, but was not aware of the tree, removal restrictions placed by the city's wetland ordinance. So she also exchanged information there about a tree which is in detrimental condition in the backyard, which ideally, should be removed for safety purposes, and also her plan to do some additional landscape improvements, which basically means, switching out the existing overgrown material with more aesthetic material, native species. She also went on to explain she would need some repairs done to the in-ground pool. So she said she's going to bring additional material from the pool maintenance contractor and also from the landscape company to the commission tonight. So we didn't have any further material submitted to us yet, so hopefully she will have some new information so that the commission can give her some direction on how to proceed.
Thank you, Swati. Good evening. I'm Michelle Rivera, resident of 54 Shirley Avenue. And I did bring 6 copies per the request of Swati for each individual here, if I may come forward.
Absolutely. Thanks. Okay, we have three things here. One is we have an enforcement order that issued because of the cutting. Okay, there's certain zones, and you had indicated in your letter that you had previously. Did you live in Lowell previously?
I was born and raised in Lowell, sir.
Okay, all right. So, yeah, on conservation land or, what we call buffer zone land, it's always, you can cut, but sometimes you need permission.
Correct.
The City of Lowell Wetlands Ordinance goes a little bit beyond what the Wetlands Protection Act does in this particular case, because floodplains are such an issue in the city and are a significant issue in the city in storm damage prevention. The city, as well as the Conservation Commission, recognizes that large established trees are a benefit in floodplains and, and help lower the water table in these areas. So because of that, the city decided to protect them in floodplains. So be that as it may, some trees were cut down. What are we going to do about it?
I'm sorry?
So be that as it may, some trees were cut down. What are we going to do about it? Okay.
One tree
Yeah.
it was not even completely cut down.
Yeah.
It was stopped before it was completely
Okay.
cut down. There was photos provided to Ms. Joseph with evidence of proving that, and my intentions were to replace it. My intentions are to replace a lot of what's being taken.
Okay. Yeah.
More so, I apologize, more so a lot of the shrubs, because there's tons that were totally neglected. And the appearance is obviously horrible, let alone the neglect. So my intentions were to, yes, have it removed, however, replace with things that would be more beneficial than what's dead, that may not even be a benefit to the actual location.
Yeah, just for future reference, anytime you decide to do some significant landscaping work, meaning removing established trees or extensive vegetation, it would always be wise to contact the Conservation Commission.
Correct, and I would have, from the beginning, had I known that I was actually literally in such a strict zone, because I'm familiar with, some of the bylaws and how much we need to respect them. So my intention was not to disrespect them or cause any harm. From the beginning, my intention was to, yes, remove, however, replace with things that would be a little bit more presentable, I would want to say.
Okay. And the third issue is the pool.
Yeah.
And that may be beyond the scope of what we're here for tonight.
Right. May I? The only reason I'm bringing it forward is because I don't want any concerns having to address the pool, because I was told that I don't need, it's an existing pool where it's being restored, but I felt that I needed to bring it forward only because I was also informed that where it is an existing 8-foot pool, the pool guy stated that it's probably even more beneficial that it's raised up instead of being so deep in, for multiple reasons, and his name and number is attached if anyone had questions as to why he felt that way.
Now, you mean when you say...
Stone, I was told that I would have...
When you say raised up, you mean the depth of it?
With stone,
Yeah,
I believe that's the
You're not going to
word.
raise it up above the ground?
No,
Yeah.
no. I believe he's gonna pour stone on the driveway or lay it, I'm not sure exactly how he's going to place it there, but then he's gonna wheelbarrow it to the pool to rise it up and obviously finish off whatever else he needs to do with respect to the pool. But we didn't want any concerns with any of the bylaws or any neighbors because there's stone or because we're doing something without any permission or to that nature.
Yeah, I don't really want to get into the pool all that much right now because that's really beyond the scope of this, and you may...
I believe it was just more so because it still had to do with the land itself, and I don't know the depth of that, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so let's just deal with the enforcement order. your plan is to do what now? You're gonna
I
plant
actually
some
brought
trees?
along Christina. She's here, she's present. She can come forward and give you an idea as to what can take place with removing and replacing and what we intend to do with kind of refurbishing the actual area.
Sure. That's generally, we never get this, so welcome. And you're Christina Dion?
Christina, yeah, I'm the owner of Tommy Tree Service. So we'd like to continue with taking down the trees that Michelle and I had discussed in the beginning, along with your assistance. Basically, the trees that are on the property had been severely neglected. They had not been trimmed over numerous years. You can see that from the moss on the roof. It also appears that there's a silver maple, which not everyone's familiar with, is almost like 4 or 5 trees into one tree. The roots of that are growing into the foundation. It's very close to the house, so there's that one particular tree that we'd like to have removed, and then there's a tree by the pool with a hole in it at the bottom that is rotted. So, because of neglect, we'd like to move forward with this, but we've decided, with your recommendation, to plant however many trees we need to compensate for what we're taking down. Whether it be, a Japanese maple or dogwoods or, what you would recommend. And now's actually a really good time because the nurseries are going to be closing for the winter. And while she's we're taking the trees down with a crane, which is $125 per hour, the trees and the shrubs at these nurseries are on sale, and she actually could get, a really good deal at some inventory.
Can we get all we have is a picture of the tree that was removed. I'm not seeing, anything of the tree that has the hole in it, and do we know where those are on the property?
I can't remember his name, but the gentleman that did come out took multiple photos and provided them to Swathi.
Was that Joe?
No, it was Sean, our
John?
enforcement agent.
Oh, all right.
And I believe that is there in the email in one of the attachments.
He took at least 10 or 15 pictures of different areas.
Yeah, I have, but they all seem to be the same angle in the same tree. The ones I have.
The photos that were sent was primarily for the ones that were taken down.
Right.
But we do have photos of the one they're proposing because of the condition.
So you're proposing to take down 2 more trees? A silver maple
The silver
and,
maple, and then there's a tree near the pool.
what kind of
and then
tree, what kind of tree is that?
That's another maple tree.
Okay.
And then we'd like to trim a tree in the front that's got some dead limbs in it.
Is that the one that's hanging at a right angle?
Right.
Yeah.
And just one additional thought is that she's not removing every tree on the property. There's actually 2 very large spruce trees in her front yard that she's going to be keeping there.
They just need to be,
How big are the 2 silver maples?
The spruce trees that we're keeping,
No, that you're taking down?
it's one
In
silver-
caliper?
Pardon?
How big in diameter?
Like 6.
the one that's,
The
which
one that's
one?
going over the roof.
In diameter?
Probably bigger than that table.
Okay. So they're good-sized trees?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. I'm just going to, this is open generally, so.
The tree that's dead or just about dead is a fairly small maple.
The one in the
probably
front.
15 feet tall, and it's definitely on its way out, so it's in the middle of the rear yard. The silver maple is probably only half as big as it might get. It is hanging over the roof, and it's a weak tree anyway. What kind of a tree was that in the front corner of the yard? The one you want to keep?
The one we wanted to trim, it's like if you pull up, it's actually to the right. I don't know the name of all the trees, to be honest with you. I just know it's huge, it's overgrown, and it actually has some shrubs that were placed in front of it too, that may need to be addressed as well. It's not all part of one particular tree. But the tree is what's leaning over to the utility pole and into the driveway and a little bit above the garage roof.
I'm kind of pleased that you're suggesting to keep that tree, because I think when I spoke to you earlier that you were talking about taking that one down too.
No, the shrubs
Oh, the
that were
shrubs.
surrounded, it just, it didn't, for me, in my opinion, it didn't make sense to have such a large tree with a chaotic number of shrubs around that were neglected. So trimming the tree and addressing the shrubs was my plan.
Are those two remaining evergreens, are they on your side of the property line or the neighbors?
I don't believe they are. When I looked at the plot plan, it's literally on the line, and the fence that does belong to me is right in line with those trees. I didn't plan on touching them, even if they are on mine.
So basically, you want to take down the rest of the pine tree in the front, I assume?
Well, I was informed that I may as well, because it's dead for what
Only got
transpired.
one limb.
So replacing it was my intention at this point.
Okay, and then the silver maple you want to take down also?
I believe that's the main concern right now with respect to all the trees. That's the one that's the main concern, and then following with the other one that's rotted in the bottom, and then the one that's overgrown in the front.
So I would think probably replacement, if you're replacing with ornamental type trees, you, one for one, it would be 3 trees to replace the 3 you went to take down, correct?
3, for each tree, replace one? I'm sorry,
Put 3 new trees in.
If you take down 3, if you were to replace them, you'd need at least 3.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
If
I
you're
just wanted a recommendation as to what trees I should put there
If you're
to respect the
suggesting
bylaws.
smaller ornamental trees, then maybe you'd need to put a few,
Multiple,
couple extra.
correct.
To replace what
I
you-
understand that. In the front, with respect to the shrubs, I probably will have more than what they had. They're just going to be more presentable, in better condition, and probably be more effective than what is currently there right now.
Of course, broadleaf trees are going to be more beneficial for flood control than evergreens, too. I can agree with the taking down the tree that's, the 2 trees that are basically beyond hope right now. And the silver maple, I don't think is a good tree for that location.
The water gets in the winter, and then it freezes, and then it kind of weakens the
It's a-
trees, and then it contracts, and then they have a
Very
chance
weak,
of just falling.
yeah,
when it is
very
on.
weak tree, and it's too big for that lot as well.
Yes, there's also multiple stumps there. I'm not too sure what was existing there, but I did want to make sure that I brought that up, that I brought up every single solitary thing that I planned on doing. And I did request for them to remove them so that I can actually put something there that would benefit,
Yeah.
instead of just dead stumps.
Yeah, I am sorry that the white pine tree in the front was cut before we got to it, because I think that was a good specimen of a tree. You know, and it's also unfortunate that we don't seem to have a way to notify people or inform people who buy into a new neighborhood that they have certain restrictions on their lots. I know the city can't do a mailing to everybody in a floodplain district, but any suggestion of how to inform people and keep this from happening over and over certainly should be looked at.
All right, so if I'm understanding this, you want to remove the 2 silver maples, which is,
It's actually one silver maple.
One silver maple.
And then one maple, an additional maple tree, the smaller tree that Mrs. Varn spoke of. It's about 15 feet tall. And then
And
we
that-
would be trimming another tree if you're facing the house on the right-hand side.
And then the evergreen with the single
Completing
branch.
that.
Yeah,
Complete that.
yeah,
and then
that
take
needs
down
to,
the shrubs.
that won't survive like that. All right. What, I'm sorry, Commissioner Lovely.
I'm just thinking of how to move ahead to closing out the enforcement order.
Yeah.
I appreciate you being proactive and coming forward and disclosing everything. I'm thinking maybe keeping the order open, let them do the work, and then do a quick inspection. I don't think we need to have figures. I mean, it's not a big scope of work, so I don't, think we need to have figures with new trees depicted, but rather just kind of going out there once the work's completed and you can show us where you put the new replacement trees would be sufficient and not a unfair burden to you as the property owner.
Yeah, I'd be satisfied if you provided, Ms. Dion or Mrs. Dion is here tonight. I mean, if you provide us with some, either an invoice or a proposal, or, that of what's to be planted back on site.
Okay, we're thinking if.
Once it's done,
We have the 19th, which is next Wednesday, open, where we could bring the crane back in
Right.
to complete the tree work, but I can write up a proposal of
Yeah,
everything.
and again, to echo Commissioner Levy, it doesn't have to be anything elaborate. It's very basic here.
And whatever she sends me, I will be more than happy to forward it to Swati, and that's how I've been communicating with her, is via email.
Right. Now, any other questions on the EO? I for one would be satisfied if we lifted the EO and just the work, would proceed, because quite frankly, and we get letters often on this type of action, and depending on the severity of it, the commission takes action or it doesn't take action. Having an outstanding enforcement order on your property isn't always the best of things. Yes.
So regarding the pool, they were hoping to get some direction. So would you recommend at least an RDA?
Yes.
Yeah, with the pool?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to the pool yet. That's a whole nother issue. Yeah, that's got nothing to do with this. Yeah.
Well, for this enforcement order, I think, I have no idea what we're talking about, like this tree, that tree. So I think, is there any way you could just provide us with some sort of sketch of these, even if it's handwritten, you can do it in the next few days. This is where they are, and this is where you want to plant new?
Definitely.
Okay, because I have no idea what we're talking about. And then, because normally, to be consistent, when people remove trees in the flood zone, we require an RDA for the plantings and future removal. So, I understand the winter's coming and you guys want to get the nursery, but normally we would be requiring an RDA right now for tree removal and planting.
I think we should have some kind of a paper trail on this as well, as far as the work that's proposed.
So, yeah, I would like to see some sort of schematic in the next few days. And I understand if you do want to make that 19th date. We can do this under the enforcement order, but I think we do need to see some plan.
We can do the plan by the end of the week, so that
Okay.
you have enough time by next Wednesday to look it over and decide whether it's okay or not.
Yeah, and like
For sure.
hand-drawn, you don't need like an engineer survey or anything, just
Okay.
hand-drawn, this is the house approximately.
Yeah, you can even overlay over an aerial image, which
Okay.
will have the trees.
Now, regarding stumps, like, is she allowed to grind the stumps?
Yes.
In order to plant new trees?
Yes.
Okay.
Do I have a motion then to ratify the enforcement order?
I move to ratify the enforcement order.
Yeah, okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. This will be continued, let's put it on the agenda for the December 10th meeting date. And we don't need a motion for that. It's open and ratified. So just keep in touch with Swathi with respect to that. Okay, and with what we discussed tonight. The second item, though, and just to let you know, when people in Pawtucketville see trucks coming in with fill, they follow them to see.
What? I'm sorry?
When people in Pawtucketville see trucks with dirt and gravel and sand or anything coming into Pawtucketville, they follow them to see where they go. And if they dump anything in Pawtucketville, they call us. All right? I've followed trucks myself to see where they go. All right? You can't, and I know you're just changing the bottom of your pool, but if your pool contractor's bringing in a dump truck with sand, gravel, I don't care what it is, into Pawtucketville, you got to make a filing. Okay? We can't. The act is very clear on that. If you bring in fill into a floodplain, you have to file. So
When you say file, what,
you would have to file a request for determination of applicability. In this particular instance, you're not affecting the floodplain at all, if I understand what you're proposing, but you still need to file. Okay?
Okay.
So Swathi, I think she understands, and she can tell you what part of the act you need to file under. But just to let you know, that the Pawtucket Citizens Council is very active, their members are very vigilant, and a lot of the folks, as you know, a number of years ago were under multiple feet of water. So they care, and when they see people bringing in fill, and it, could be bags of, Home Depot stuff, they care about that too.
yeah,
Okay?
well, the only other option is to continue or leave the pool as it is. However,
Yeah, well,
because of the neglect, they have to keep digging.
What I'm telling you is in your letter, what you've written in your letter, we can't approve that.
Okay,
Okay, you have to make a filing. You have to do an official request to us to do that work. You can't do that without action. Okay, that's an infinitely more serious infraction than cutting down a tree.
okay,
Okay?
Okay.
That could, that could really be a problematic thing were you to do that without approval from us. Okay? We can't give it to you as in your letter. There's a formal process you have to go through
Okay.
in order to do that.
Mr.
Okay,
Chairman,
but
just,
Yeah.
And it's filling out a form and including this letter. It's not, you just need that form to be filled out.
Yeah.
and I, for one, would think it's not going to be, anything that would be adverse. In other words, it would be something we would find applicable under the act, but we would find it not to be consequential, meaning that we would say it follows the act, but you can go ahead and implement what you're suggesting.
okay.
That's my opinion, but that's what we have to discuss at a meeting. We have to have a formalized process to discuss
Yeah,
that.
and your neighbors have an opportunity to be heard and stuff. There's certain things that the law requires that trigger official action, and what you're outlining in your letter is one of them, okay?
Okay.
So,
Okay. That work can't take place until all the other landscaping is done anyhow. But I'm just wondering, is that a separate meeting? Is that
oh
a?
yeah, that's a whole separate filing. It has to be published, yeah.
Okay,
Our next meeting is December 10th.
okay. So I would come here for that?
Yep.
But just for that section?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
So
said
I
you
can
were,
follow up with you? Okay.
You
I
said
need
that-
guidance on this.
yeah, you were familiar with like wetlands and Lowell?
I am, but not the pool.
Well, the floodplain in Lowell is even stricter.
Yeah.
Welcome to Pawtucketville. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so am I okay to proceed with the first part of the tree thing? Yeah? Sure.
Yes.
I'll follow up with an email first thing tomorrow morning.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Sure.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you for coming in. And finish it up, the October 8th minutes. Do I have a motion on those?
I make a motion to accept the minutes from October 8th meeting.
Seconded by Commissioner Varnum, motion by Commissioner Lynch. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Okay, we also have our meeting and schedule submittal deadline schedule for the 2015 calendar year. Do I have, if you've all had an opportunity to review it, do I have a motion to accept that as the schedule for the 2015 calendar year?
I'll make a motion to accept our schedule.
All right, motion by Commissioner Beardron, seconded by
I'll second.
Commissioner Lovely. Discussion, note that there's, like this year, there's one meeting in November, one meeting in December, and I think that's it. There any other special dates?
The November's on a Thursday.
Thursday, because of Veterans Day on that Wednesday.
Right. Just to be aware, I think we did it this year, and I know July 8 is a little bit more removed from the July 4th holiday, but typically we take, we do a summer schedule, and we eliminate either the first July meeting too. I don't know if the commission wants to do that or not, or leave it on the agenda in case we're backed up, just to, remove it as the time gets close.
Yeah, that's how it happened this year too. We didn't have enough items, so we ended up canceling. So just, it might be okay to just leave it on there and then accordingly.
Okay. All right, and I think that's it. So we have one thing to sign, just the,
Offer a motion to adjourn?
yep, thank you. Seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Beardron, motion by Commissioner Lovely. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, the ayes have it, and good night.